this potentially may be one of the best cameras in my kit right now. What's up, beautiful people? So today we're talking about, again, the EOS R. So about a month ago, I made the video about why you should still buy the EOS R in 2021. And I kind of broke down the reasons about why I thought the camera would be a good fit for me and my workflow, but then also kind of gave some tips about why you should consider it as a valuable option for photography or videography. So today, after using it for about the last 2-3 months, we're going to revisit some of those pros and cons to see if they're still true, or if my mind has changed about any of those statements. First things first, the 720. So earlier this week, I actually made a video comparison of 720 to 1080 and to 4K, and actually used some of the 720 footage from the EOS R, along with testing it against the 1DX Mark II in comparison 120. So with the 1DX Mark II, you can shoot 120 frames per second in 1080p, whereas with the EOS R, you can shoot 120 frames, but only in 720. Now, originally, when making the video, I said that 720 was completely unusable in today's age. And however, after using it for the last 3 months, both on some client shoots, but then also personally with just testing footage out, I still stand by that, but then also I don't. So let me explain. Here are two comparison shots from the 1DX Mark II and the EOS R on the client shoot. So as you can see, the EOS R definitely holds up with 120. However, the autofocus on the EOS R when shooting in 120 is completely unreliable. So the shot that you see with the EOS R was completely done while pulling focus. In comparison to the 1DX Mark II, whose dual autofocus is still good and to the T while shooting 120, I wouldn't really rely on the EOS R when shooting 120 for a client shoot. But the footage is still great. The second thing that I had an issue with the EOS R was the battery life. Now, of course, comparing the battery life of the EOS R to a professional body like the 1DX Mark II is completely unfair, but I mean, hey, if it's meant to replace the 1DX Mark II, that's what it's getting compared to. But for me, carrying around multiple batteries for the EOS R isn't a big issue as I thought. I typically carry around 3 batteries, one actually in use in the body, and then 2 extras on hand whenever I may need it. And typically those 3 will get me through a full shoot, either for video or for photo. So it's not really that big of an issue, but the whole point of getting the EOS R was to make the whole setup more light than the 1DX Mark II. So I know a lot of people suggested in the comments to get the battery grip, but if I get the battery grip, then the whole ergonomics of the camera and the profile of the camera becomes too familiar to the 1DX Mark II, which I didn't really want. So the battery grip option is a complete, no for me. But for others, if you're okay with it, by all means, you may need it and use it, and it may be a great fit for you and your workflow. Now, the third thing that I had an issue with on the EOS R was this little touch bar back here when actually using it. So initially, when getting the EOS R and talking to others, I knew that you could program it to a specific setting that you want. However, when people was explaining it to me, I thought you would have been able to, customize the touch bar to specific photo settings and video settings. However, that's not the case. Although, that's a little bit annoying, but also I may be asking for too much, not really quite sure. But setting the actual touch bar to just being my ISO kind of, you know, does the job for me. It's okay. I mean, the response time on the touch bar, you kind of have to hold it down, like tap and hold, and then you're able to scroll. So I don't really understand that interface. If it's already programmed to be ISO, I feel like if I'm actually just already tapping, it should be more responsive rather than me tap and hold and then sliding left and right to make those micro adjustments. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. Those are my 2 or 3 cons that I initially had with the EOS R. As far as all the pros that I initially said and my reasoning to picking up the camera body, I still stand by those to this day. The C-Log on here is great. That extra dynamic range is great for filming. As far as a photo camera, this is a beast of a camera. I'm not one that's big on megapixel counts, but if you're that person, then you already know that these 40 plus megapixels in here are great for portrait photography, street photography, whatever photography that you may be doing. It can, you know, be put through the paces and, you know, hold up. That does it for me today. I hope this video helped you out in understanding more about the EOS R, along with how I use it for my workflow. If this video did in any way bring some type of value to you, please hit that like button, as it does help me out here on the platform. But also, you know, it gives me extra encouragement to keep putting these videos out for you all. And if you aren't already, please consider subscribing to the channel to be notified when I do post in the future. And I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace. There's no perfect camera out here. It's all about finding the perfect camera that fits your workflow. Again, there's going to be pros and cons to every camera body.